I wanted to talk about maladaptive daydreaming, imagination and creativity, and how those three things have interacted for me throughout the years as I've been trying to make sense of myself. If you're not sure whether you are struggling with maladaptive daydreaming or if you just have a very active imagination, then maybe my experiences might help. So when I was younger, I started maladaptive daydreaming, and if you've seen my other video, this was actually an OCD compulsion, which I've just begun to discover. But I started this when I was about 11 or 12, and it basically began as something that I seemed to enjoy doing. I was in my room, I would pace, I would gesture, I would act things out. So from my point of view at that time, this was just an extension of my creative self, which was beginning to develop because I knew I had an interest in writing and stories and films. So I thought this was just a sort of offshoot of that. That it made sense for me that I would want to do this kind of thing in my room by myself. So if you have done that or you're currently doing that, then you're probably maladaptive daydreaming. But I don't think that you need to necessarily be pacing and acting things out, because I managed to stop doing that when I was a teenager. And what happens then is the maladaptive daydreaming is just really going on in your head. But the way I would describe it as there's like a tension in your body because you want to be moving, or you want to be getting stories out and acting them in some kind of way. So there is this tension, even if you're holding it all in your head, there is a certain tension that you want to be moving and you want to be gesturing. So that's really what I've experienced for the majority of my life with the maladaptive daydreaming. In terms of imagination and creativity, so alongside the daydreaming, I did enjoy writing. I enjoyed conjuring things up in my imagination. Now, I would say when I write and when I'm very focused on a story, it's actually a good outlet and a good escape away from the maladaptive daydreaming, because I can feel more in control of that, and I am in control. I'm navigating these stories. It feels like a positive thing, and it doesn't feel like something is bursting to get out of me in a way that makes me physically uncomfortable. I actually think you could probably identify your maladaptive daydreaming by discomfort in your body and maybe discomfort in your brain, really, because what you'll find is if you're repeating the same scenarios over and over in your mind, it becomes really difficult to deal with at one point. So the thing about maladaptive daydream is, because for a lot of people, well, for me it was an OCD compulsion, so it was stopping me from thinking more negative thoughts, and for other people maybe it is a coping mechanism. There's not a lot of research being done on maladaptive daydreaming, to be honest, so people might be doing it for different reasons. And sometimes it can be enjoyable, sometimes it can be soothing because it is taking you away from more difficult things. But at a certain point, I think you'll find, if you're like me, you'll find that the maladaptive daydreaming or the compulsive behaviour becomes the problem by itself, and that's what kind of can consume you. I think when you're activating your imagination, you're conscious of that and you feel in control. Like, even if your characters, or even if you can play out a scene, you feel in control and you feel like you're doing something worthwhile and you're going to turn that imagination into something. So whether you're imagining something that you want to put on film, or you're imagining something you want to put into a story or into a book, it feels purposeful and you feel grateful that you have a good imagination. So I really enjoy that I have an imagination, and when I can activate it and I can control it, it's a really positive thing, and it's something that I've always wanted to hold on to. And because of that, and because I knew I needed my imagination, I needed my creativity to write, I think part of that kind of stopped me from really interrogating too much the maladaptive daydreaming. So even when I realised that was a problem, I could never have thought that anything could help the maladaptive daydreaming that wouldn't also take away my imagination. I thought these must be so interlinked because they can manifest in a similar way. So I think I just kind of accepted this for a long time as almost like the other side of the coin of being creative. I just thought that was something I had to sort of suffer with, even though it wasn't really interacting with my stories. And I always used to wonder, it's like, oh, why can't I do my daydreaming for the stories that I want to write? It really was just like, it was something different. So I really tolerated the maladaptive daydreaming for years just because I thought it was just a part of myself and a part of me being creative and storytelling, even though it felt different. I kept trying to combine my maladaptive daydream with creativity in some way, or try to pretend that they were linked and that I was doing it for a reason. Like at one point I thought, oh, I must want to be an actress because I want to act out these stories. I went to drama and it's nothing like maladaptive daydreaming. In fact, it's the complete opposite. You've got to be very present to act. So in a way, it's actually a helpful activity to do if you do struggle with maladaptive daydreaming, because the more present you can be, the more you can get away from it for a short time. But it was funny because one of the activities in the drama classes that I used to go to was to walk around in circles. And I was like, this is just activating my daydreaming. You know, they were like, be very present, control what you're doing. And I was like, no, I'm out of here. I'm checked out. So it is quite funny, like the way it interacts with drama and creativity, and how different it is. You know, I really felt, because you know, you can almost start to feel like you're going crazy, and that is, I went through periods of that. And particularly because you know that you want to gesture and you want to speak and you want to get these stories out of you. It feels very much like it would make sense. Oh, you know, I must want to be an actress, and if somebody would give me a story or a script, then this will stop the daydreaming and that will become a reality. But it really doesn't work like that. The maladaptive daydreaming is very much its own thing. That's really what I've discovered. So I think my litmus test for if you're maladaptive daydreaming is really if you feel, one, you can't stop it, two, like you're not very in control of it. You can pick your scenarios to a certain degree, but then they just play out in ways that you're not controlling, and that the same scene will go over and over and over again. If you have a very vivid or immersive imagination and you really enjoy it, and you really enjoy saying, oh, I'm going to go to this place in my mind, and you start picturing things, and you know, you feel very in control of what it is that you're trying to see, but you have a very active imagination, then that's not maladaptive daydreaming. Like, you know, if you don't feel bad about it, or you don't feel scared, you don't feel like you're going crazy, you don't feel like that's consuming your life in ways that are negative, then you probably don't suffer with maladaptive daydreaming. I think if you discover the term maladaptive daydreaming, you read about it, if you have been doing it, then it will probably be a massive aha moment, like it was for me. I was searching around because at one point I just realised something is not right, and when I found that phrase, that really made sense, because it was like, oh, this is what I've been doing. And I started crying because I realised it wasn't just me. So when I see people question like whether they are maladaptive daydreaming or not, I do think to myself, you know, if you were doing it, you would know and you would recognise it once you hear that term and once you read other people's experiences. It seems to very much have a lot of the same behaviours and actions that go along with it, and that's been really that was really a massive relief for me, because I thought this is amazing. What I thought was so just part of myself and something really stupid about me actually is something that other people are dealing with. And then if you watch my other video, like finding out that this was an OCD compulsion for me, that just all clicked into place even more. So I think, assuming you don't maladaptive daydream about what you also like to write about, then there's probably going to be no harm in the separation between the maladaptive daydreaming and your journey to stop that, and your desire still to pursue creative and imaginative things. I'm obviously on a journey right now of trying to overcome my maladaptive daydreaming by getting treated for OCD, and at the same time I'm wanting to come back to myself in terms of my creative self, which I've let just get bogged down in all the mental health problems I've been having and just trying to figure myself out. I've kind of let my creativity sort of fall by the wayside because I've been so consumed by that recently, and that is now something that I want to try and work on and try and enjoy more, and that's the reason I made this channel. I really want to get in touch again with my creative self and to write and to enjoy writing, and enjoy my imagination and enjoy being creative. I think, you know, maladaptive daydream can really take over your brain, and if you don't have other outlets, then it can be really difficult to deal with. And you know, for me, writing was an outlet that I had, and this is probably linked because around the time of COVID I stopped being able to write and a lot of other things happened, that then the maladaptive daydreaming got a lot worse and everything just got a lot worse for me, so I wasn't able to be in touch with my creative self as much as I wanted to be. So that is something I really want to work on. I hope this makes sense to you, and that if you are struggling trying to figure out your mind and your creativity and how your daydreaming interacts with that, please do leave a comment and let me know what you're going through or what you're learning about yourself. I think it's a really long journey, and particularly if you are a creative person, it becomes so difficult to understand and to untangle, you know, and to accept that there's something wrong. I think that's really been like the hardest challenge for me, like finding this line to distinguish between the imagination that I wanted and that I felt I could harness, and the imagination that was just out of my control, and that I felt I couldn't stop. So it is a difficult thing to untangle, and I think everybody experiences this in different ways, and I'm not an expert. This is just my experience with this that I thought I would share in case it helps anybody, and it helps me to try and talk about these things that I've not been able to speak about for so many years because it's been so kind of shameful and embarrassing, as I've figured myself out, and as I've learned so much now and been through a lot and been down an awful lot of wrong paths in terms of trying to make sense of myself. It's something I just want to share with people now. Please do let me know your experiences. Please do like and subscribe so that other people can find the video, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!